Your body is literally glowing right now. And I don't mean this metaphorically, I do mean literally. You have trillions of cells inside of your body right now, all emitting light. And that light isn't just a reflection of your health, but it also has an influence on the people around you. By the end of today's video, you are going to understand why your energy and your energy field affects other people, and how important it is to actually consciously build your energetic state. Way back in the 1920s, so 100 years ago, there was research being done in the field of biophysics by the name of somebody named Alexander Dershowitz. And what he noticed when studying onion cells was that the cells of the onions he was studying at the time were actually communicating with one another through the use of light. And this fascinated him. And as far as he knew at the time, he was the only one that had made this discovery. And he went on a decades-long quest to understand how cells communicate with one another in a deeper way. And it wasn't until decades later, when there was additional instrumentation that was developed, that other researchers started to confirm this form of communication between living cells, and actually confirm that it wasn't just onions that were able to do this, but that all living cells communicate with one another through UV or ultraviolet light. And these forms of light communication were called biophotons, basically packages of light that transfer from one living cell to another. And the DNA inside of each single one of our cells, the mitochondria that are inside of each one of our cells, these are all capable of releasing these flashes of light. And this light energy that gets released is not random. These are like little laser beams of light going from one cell to another. That pattern of light that actually gets transferred from cell to cell, it can either be chaotic or it can be harmonious. And that is really a reflection of you and your overall state of being. So for people who are healthy, calm, and are really well balanced, both emotionally and physically, they have a greater amount of coherent light. And this coherent light, it's been measured to be brighter and more focused, and carries very specific information from cell to cell. Now, for somebody who may be the opposite, maybe stressed, inflamed, or sick, the light that is being transferred from their cells is duller and is more scattered. So this dull, scattered light has the opposite impact, where you don't get that same transference of really clear, coherent information or messaging from cell to cell. So maybe when somebody says, oh, she really lights up the room when somebody walks in, they're not just being metaphorical or poetic, they are being accurate, because we are all carrying our own light codes that are associated with the cells in our body and are constantly being emitted by us. Now, the light in your body going from cell to cell doesn't stay there. As I said, it's emitted, or it actually shines, although we can't always see it visually, not only within the body from one cell to another, but beyond the body. And our light code, or our energetic patterning of light that is developed from within our cells and then is emitted outside of us, this contributes to what science and scientists now call the biofield, which is a field of energy that is associated with our physical body, but actually is emitted and extends far beyond just the physical body. And I've talked about this in other videos. So if you're curious, you can go check out some of my past videos. But this biofield is very real. It is a measurable field that is created from multiple forms of energy, but it is electric, magnetic, and photonic or light-based. And it not only surrounds us, but flows through us and flows between one person to another. So it affects you, and it is a signature of who you are, but you're also communicating to other people through your biofield. And one of the leading researchers in this field, Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who passed away in 2018, but spent decades researching this, proposed that our DNA is the form of storage and communication of light and is always transferring information through light energy. So this is how your cells in your body instantaneously coordinate messaging between themselves in a way that modern day science, chemistry, biology, physics really cannot explain. This instantaneous transference of information from cell to cell. It's been observed, it's been scientifically observed, but nobody has really been able to come up with an explanation for how this messaging outside of time and space and any really directly visible form of communication line happens between the cells in our body. All of this to say, your energetic field is very much a result of who you are and the patterning that has been developed inside of you, the messaging that is going on inside of you, the messaging that is being conveyed from your cells to your other cells. And all of this makes up a field that can actually extend beyond you and can sync up with other people in your environment, in your life. And so when we talk about things like Reiki healing, these energetic modalities of healing, or even something as simple as intention or prayer, these things are not woo-woo, out-of-the-box practices that have no basis in science and no basis in reality. They are very real, and they are a form of biofield modulation, which is basically a fancy way for saying they are a direct form of nonverbal communication from yourself to somebody else in your life or in your surroundings. The HeartMath Institute actually discovered that the electromagnetic energy field of our hearts can carry a field extension up to 6 feet away from our body. And when you feel things like compassion and gratitude, that field that's carried beyond your body, it strengthens. So it can actually extend beyond 6 feet. 6 feet's an average. And the field quality itself is more rhythmic or smooth. So we call that coherent. And the opposite happens when you are depressed, stressed, or angry. And the energetic field that you carry beyond your body, it shrinks. So the average is 6 feet. But when you're feeling these more constricted, what we would consider negative emotions, that field gets smaller. So maybe not necessarily 6 feet away from your body anymore. And it becomes messier or more incoherent. So the messaging that you're carrying through your field is actually influenced by what's happening inside of your body. And this literally now becomes energy in motion or energetic information carried in the form of biofield energy that moves from inside of your body, outside of your body, and to people around you. Have you ever walked into a room right after a tense moment or right after an argument, and you can feel that something has happened in that room? That is your nervous system detecting incoherent, messy, fragmented energy that's still stuck in the room. Or have you ever thought about praying for somebody or holding a really strong, loving intention towards somebody in your life, and suddenly they text you and say, I was just thinking about you, or I was just thinking about you and I feel really good and I just wanted to let you know. That is a level of field-to-field communication that is happening very directly, but by a means of communication that we don't normally think of. And what this means is that your emotional state, your energetic state, isn't something that necessarily stays private for just you. It is something that is being broadcast to other people and throughout the barriers of space and time. So it does not necessarily need some very immediate, quantifiable, observable form of communication for you to send messaging from you to somebody else in your life, which is not only interesting, but also just highlights how powerful we actually are as human beings. So how do you train your light energy to become more coherent, become brighter, more powerful, more magnetic, perhaps more radiant? Here are 4 science-backed ways to help you amplify your biophotonic energy flow, or basically strengthen your energetic field so that you can become your most magnetic, most powerful, radiant form of who you are. So tip number 1 is to get out into sunlight. Enjoy the sun. Real sunlight activates photoreceptors in your cells, in your mitochondria, which are the energetic powerhouses of each and every one of your trillions and trillions of cells in your body. And this light activation boosts cellular energy and cellular coherence. So the cells receiving natural light energy not only become empowered to continue to, in a harmonious, coherent way, further that communication beyond themselves, so they communicate with one another in a more coherent way, but the cells actually become more efficient or more capable of using that light energy that they're receiving in a way that's really powerful and energizing for you. So this translates into better modulation of your circadian rhythm so that your overall sleep cycles, perhaps wake cycles, even hunger and stress levels are modulated or controlled. So your overall mood and the way you feel happens to exist in this happy bandwidth of regulation rather than feeling perhaps more chaotic. The next tip is to eat living food, eat real food. So that would be things that don't come in packages. So, if you're able to and capable of growing your own food, or if you have the ability to access local farmers markets or local gardens, that would be ideal. Local farms if you're into eating meat, but eat foods that are fresh, organic, and living, because these living foods carry their own form of biophotonic patterns, or light codes, I'll call them, but they basically have their own energetic light field attached to them. And by you consuming these light-rich foods, you're bringing light into your body and you're increasing the amount of light that you have to emit or give. Emotional hygiene is my 3rd tip for you. And essentially, practicing forgiveness, practicing gratitude, practicing joy, these types of practices all organize your energetic field so that you are coherently, or in a very practiced way, emitting a form of energy that aligns with higher vibrational thoughts and feelings, meaning that fragmented energy or fragmented forms of light aren't being emitted from you and hitting your people in your life, and not creating experiences or environmental outcomes in your life that don't necessarily align with the things you want and who you are. And lastly, meditation or prayer or intentionality, if you don't like either of those other two words. But studies have shown that people who meditate or who bring intention to their thoughts and the chaotic or scattered things swirling in their mind, so really clear their mind, clear their hearts, and get into a place of mind-heart coherence where the energetic fields of your mind and your heart are working together. So people who make a practice of doing this actually emit more biophotons than people who don't. And for anyone who is interested in or who's studied the chakra system, the third eye is the place where the most amount of biophotons has been observed to be released. So this practice of meditation or intentionality, whatever verbiage you want to use, is incredibly important for developing field coherence for you. So maybe all of this energy work that we've been flooded with over the last little while is not at all mystical. A lot of it is ancient, but it's also perhaps just based in a state of biology that we really have not fully understood, even with all the science and the testing and the studies that we've been subjected to. There is a level of being and a level of biological integration that we're really just now coming into knowing. And I think understanding the power we all hold with our energetic field and our energetic profile is a part of that. And understanding our biofield and these biophotons being a part of that is part of the process of us really unlocking what it means to become superhuman. So you are a living field of light and intention, and the choices that you make each and every day help to either fortify and strengthen your field or tear holes in your field and break it down and weaken you. So you get to make the choice as to how you build your field and how your field then affects other people in your life. If this episode lit something up for you or sparked something within you, share this with somebody in your life who radiates good energy and who makes you grateful to know them. Because the more we can all bring awareness to these topics and just how powerful we really are, the more light we each bring into the world. And if you have looked around recently, you know as well as I do, that is something we all need.